Here we go. We are live. Do you know, I think I did that thing that, have you ever seen it, where sometimes you watch a live like an hour after it's been live, and there's that bit where they're just like trying to work out if they're live yet or not. I think that was me just then. It's hard though, because you kind of hit the button to say, hey, we're live and welcome to the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. But it doesn't feel like anything's kicked in just yet. So it's always tricky, those first few seconds. Did you know, though, I think on Facebook, you can trim your live afterwards. Oh, so we could actually trim it. I mean, it'd still be the same on LinkedIn and YouTube, but we'd be able to trim it on Facebook if we wanted to. But I don't know. Is it worth the effort?
Possibly not.
I think it depends how vain you are. It depends how much you want to, how perfect you want to be as to whether you go and make that effort. But yeah, there you go. So, as always, a bit of a weird and wonderful start to live at lunch. Just the three of us today. Nicole's having tech issues. And when I say tech issues, she might have actually she's working from home today. She might have actually thrown her laptop out the window by now. She's having those sorts of tech issues. Luckily, we have some fantastic IT support in Chris Lambert from Data Sense. So, Chris, if you're watching this now, I've just plugged you. Just leave it playing in one window and go and sort Nicole's laptop in the other, please. Please go fix it. She's very, very stressed today. But yeah, as always, we are here to not talk about my weird faces or Nicole's laptop not working. We are here to talk about what's happening in the world of social media and marketing and what we've been up to and all that kind of thing. So I've just realised we should have got Kim on as well, because something that we did this week, Kim had this idea of putting a post out on LinkedIn. We've had so many conversations from a content perspective recently about, just do the fly on the wall stuff. So Kim put this post together, which I then robbed. And that went out on my profile. I'm basically saying, this is the normal boring stuff that happens in the office, like the everyday stuff. And, here's a bit of a challenge. Go and show us what's happening in your world. And we had the lovely people from Meridian Business Support actually post and tag me, tag Green Umbrella in as well, with kind of a response to that. So that was really cool. But it just goes to show this fly on the wall thing. I've just come off a review with the client as well. And when we're looking at the last little bit longer than 3 months, what are the posts that have had the biggest reach, the most engagement? And they're all posts of what's happening in the business, what's being celebrated in the business. And, conversation went on and I just went, what's the boring stuff that happens? And then they started telling us about all this cool stuff that's in their office and their way of work. They all finish early on a Friday and they're like, actually, we can get everyone to tell us what they do in that bit of free time on a Friday. That would be a good post. And it's we're always looking for the big, engaging ideas and the massive call to actions and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes the best call to action is just a big smiley face that people want to click on and respond to and engage in. So I thought that's quite interesting. And that's probably my only contribution for today, because I've been so busy. I've not got a clue what's in my head that's new, old, or anything. So on that front, I'm kind of reliant on you two.
Over to you then, Jane.
It's always a worry. I do actually have a few things today. So there's a few changes to LinkedIn. Basically, so I'm not sure if these have come out yet or just in testing, but they're introducing a Discover feed. So it's going to be a bit like Facebook's Discover feed, which will highlight algorithmically recommended content. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing on LinkedIn, because you see enough of people that you don't follow anyway, just when other people like or comment on it. So I don't know whether you need to see even more stuff that you might be interested in, but who knows? You might find some little gems in there, or it might just be really dull. Don't know. And then the next thing LinkedIn are doing, they're introducing a Meet the Team thing. So if you post jobs on your LinkedIn and stuff like that, people will be able to click through to the details of the company. There'll be a Meet the Team bit on there. They can click through to your individual profiles if they want to, and it will also show any mutual connections. So I thought that's quite good.
Yeah, I like that. But then this is another thing. You should get your team more involved in your content, more of that real life stuff, that, feature the people in your business, in your organic content, because that's where the benefits are. That's where the benefits of social media marketing really, really come into play.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. I like that one as well. The next one is they're doing a bit of a celebrations display thing in your notifications. So this was the birthdays, job changes, promotions things. I think this is just going to be a bit more streamlined and show up in your feed a bit more. And then the last one is groups. So they're adding a little bit of changes to groups where you can now put a personalised welcome message on your group, and they're going to introduce additional acceptance criteria for letting people in. But again, I don't know how much people still use groups in LinkedIn or not.
I know, but I just feel like they must do, otherwise they'd have just canned it. You know, it's like stories. True. They can stories because no one was using them. You know, so it's like the fact that this thing's still going on. I just feel like there must be, and they're looking at it on a global basis as well. So there must be pockets of people. There must be LinkedIn groups that are actually worth engaging in. Yeah. So it's probably one of those things. Sometimes you go on so long going like, this is crap, this is crap, this is crap, and not engaging with it, that all those people that were perhaps spamming the groups basically go, oh, there's no point anymore. And then the good stuff surfaces again. So maybe it is worth us having a bit of a delve into groups again and a bit of an experiment, see what the opportunities are and report back.
Yeah,
I think that could be interesting. I think it really could be interesting. Going back on the previous thing though, like streamlining the work anniversaries, birthdays, all that stuff. I hate those notifications. Like mine are all turned off. It's like I get they're really good from a business development perspective. So you've noticed it's someone's birthday. You don't necessarily say happy birthday to them on LinkedIn. But, you know, if this is someone that's a prospect for you, being able to like get the data together, put it in, you know, log it in your CRM, don't need their full date of birth, just the month and the year. And then, you know, make sure you've got the address and send them that physical card in the post. Like that is worthwhile. But like I said, sending to happy birthday, Mark on LinkedIn is like, it's just like whatever. Work anniversaries. It's good for recruiters because it helps them keep track of where people are and that sort of stuff. But do you remember there was that one time in Green Umbrella Camp? I just remember that there was a reference to that earlier in the week, wasn't it? And Molly didn't get it because she's too young. Bless her. So everyone's like trying to like think, how old is Molly now? Anyway, there was this one time in Green Umbrella Camp where that's just going to be a thing now, isn't it? Someone said happy birthday, happy work anniversary to someone because it was like 25 years working at this thing, and they sent the message through, and then they found out that actually that person was no longer with us.
Oh no.
So it's like it's a you know, things like using this stuff. There are ways of using it in a positive way, but you've got to do your research. You've got to do your due diligence stuff. You know, when it comes to the happy birthdays and the work anniversaries and that kind of thing, I just think if you're just dropping that message, it can be a little bit lazy. Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And I think I sometimes do comment on people's work anniversary things if it's people I know well or something like that. Or if, you know, you get the notification that someone's changed position and things like that. But birthdays, I definitely don't engage with on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't like birthdays. But like I said, I will use that information on other platforms. I will use it on other platforms. And I think there's a bit of a security thing with this as well. When we're going like, happy 40th birthday, then now, and it's in public domain, it's like, okay, so this is your day and this is your month, and we know you're 40, so therefore we know the year now as well. And unfortunately, there are, you know, some individuals, some bots out there that are designed to capture that information. So yeah, the birthdays thing is a little bit, I don't like using that way. And those notifications are just a nuisance. They just get in the way of everything else. I think if you've got a relatively small network on LinkedIn as an individual, you don't notice it as being so much of an issue. But when once you start to get a few thousand connections, and you're trying to keep up with everything else and those notifications coming in, it's just like, yeah, it's annoying.
Definitely. I can imagine.
So what else have you got? What else has been happening in the social media world?
Okay, so the next one I've got is TikTok shopping ads. I think we have talked about this before because it was in testing, but I think they're rolling it out now. So they're basically providing more ways for brands to promote their products, either through video shopping ads, catalogue listing ads, or live shopping things. Apparently it's mostly used in the US at the moment, but I guess it will come here soon. But apparently, 56% of users say they discover new products in TikTok. 48% of people say they might buy something from TikTok in the next 3 months. And 70% of people think it seems easy to buy something through TikTok. So I guess, yeah, if you sell that sort of product that's probably cheaper, not big ticket items, then yeah, TikTok's maybe the place to be and to sell.
Although purchasing on TikTok, I was literally just gonna tell this story. I don't know what was that made me giggle. Kim's had a bad experience with a vegetable chopper on TikTok.
It's probably due to the kind of people she's following, really, rather than anything else.
I'm intrigued now.
Oh my days. Oh, right. So I think you've got to be careful, right? So you see stuff on TikTok and it is relatively low investment because that's what sells in terms of product. So it's like anything else. Like sometimes it's just too good to be true. So I think there's some stuff on TikTok that's really good. So I think Kim is the only person in the office that's bought stuff on TikTok. Molly, have you ever bought anything on TikTok? No, Molly hasn't. Don't know, like Nicole, we can't ask her because her laptop doesn't freaking work. So she won't be on. I've never bought anything on TikTok. Mark doesn't use it. Jane?
No.
So I remember, can't remember whether it's a water bottle or AirPods type things that Kim bought before. All of them, she's just said. And she came in and these are amazing. I'm really impressed. Just before we went live on this and the TikTok shopping thing got mentioned and she was like, my vegetable chopper. And then she just started complaining. I said, it was £17 or something, she said.
£16.74.
£16.74. And apparently they're in same thing in Aldi now, is cheaper. So I think you need to be careful as a purchaser. Just be wary of what you might be investing in. Stay away from the vegetable choppers would be Kim's advice. But like I said, you've got to think, right? What is it that what is it that you've got that you could be selling through TikTok? And like I said, it's got to be like it's got to be at a lower price point to really work. I think you probably are going to have to look at paid ads as well, rather than just doing organic stuff on this. But it does open up a lot of possibilities in terms of recruitment, especially this time of year. If you're like looking for high volume recruitment, trying to get in front of candidates that probably like the school leavers, that kind of stuff, or going forward now, sort of, we've got like a couple of weeks and then we'll be into Freshers Week and that sort of stuff. So if you're trying to recruit like temporary recruitment candidates in university towns, that kind of stuff, I think there is an opportunity there for running marketing campaigns, organic and paid, where you're like giving that freebie, that guide, whatever it might be. I think there's tons of opportunity in it.
Definitely.
I've just gone off on a rant again, haven't I? Paul Green's asked a question, right? This is the most irritating thing on Facebook right now. Have you been tagged into things in groups and you go through and it's because everyone's been tagged?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, my days. It is so irritating. So if you're a group admin and you're running a Facebook group and you're putting a post in there that you want everyone to know about in your group, you have the option of, instead of tagging like a bunch of individuals, you just at everyone, and it sends a notification to everyone in the group to say they've been tagged in. So of course they click through and they see your post. So it sounds like there's a lot of value in doing this, and it's been quite slow to roll out. So yeah, but it's one of those things, you don't know you've been tagged in an everyone post, you just know you've been tagged. So you get through to it, and it's not personal to you at all. And more often than not, it's actually more of a salesy message that you maybe are not that interested in. It's just annoying, absolutely annoying. Charles has said, yes, what an absolute nightmare. Yeah, 100%. This is so irritating. I've left a bunch of groups in the last, I'd say, 4 weeks because they're overusing the everyone tag.
I thought you could only do it once a day.
But once a day, every day, Jane. Once a day, every day.
Fair enough.
Multiple
in
groups.
every group. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And then and it's like completely pointless content. And I'm just like, okay, if you had something important to tell me. So we're all going to Expert Empires in middle of September. There is a Facebook group for that. So there are posts going into that group that are just posts, getting people excited about the event before it happens. If there was like a big piece of news related to the event, let's say they were going to put a post in about, let's say there's train strikes, okay, and that they were going to put a post in there like flagging the fact that it's going to be, there might be strikes. Make sure you've got plenty of time to travel, yada yada yada. Okay. Tagging everyone in that's important, relevant information. That has value, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, it's like, I think as a function, really, really good. Practical use, exhausting. You haven't been tagged in stuff like that, no?
No, and it doesn't work in our 2 groups either yet.
No.
So I can't even test it out.
No, none of the groups I admin on have got it, or didn't have. I haven't tried it for a week or 2, but
yeah, it's making me mad. I think I'm just having an angry couple of hours at the minute. I need to shift my state. I went for a walk, that didn't work, and then I was like, I've got to get back to my desk to do live lunch, so I can't wait for this to be done, because I'm going to get him to put some music on and have a little dance in the office. I think shift my state that way instead. What do you reckon?
Worth a try.
some more content there then.
Yeah, just make sure Kim's filming it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Mark, what's going on with you this week? I know you've been doing loads and loads of stuff for us, and some interesting conversations been coming out of that.
Yeah, so just getting ready for a few sort of events and things that we're doing, and events that we're sort of putting on and stuff. So yeah, it's been a busy week. Normal stuff for clients as well mixed in there. So yeah, all good.
And any trends you've been noticing? Any news that's come across popped up on your radar?
Just a couple of bits. I always dip into Search Engine Journal if anyone ever wants to have a look at some stuff. So I always have a look, see what's going on there. Just a couple of bits that I saw on there this week. Pretty obvious sort of stats in some ways, that basically there's been a survey, American survey, admittedly, but I'd imagine it is pretty similar across the globe, where teens 13 to 17, they surveyed them to see what sort of social media apps they were using, and with particular sort of looking at Facebook. From a similar survey in 2015, 71% of that age group were using Facebook, and now it's down to 32%. So quite a massive drop. And obviously, as we've said, obviously, whether we like it or not, video apps are the way that people are consuming information, certainly in the younger age groups. So TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all that eclipse Facebook in popularity in the US in those groups. But surprisingly, YouTube is still the top one in America. So in this survey, 95% of that age group were using YouTube on a daily basis. So that was quite interesting. The others percentage wise. TikTok's the next one, 67%, Instagram 62%, Snapchat 59%, and then we're right down to Facebook as number 5 on their list at that 32%. And I'm quite surprised, I suppose, other things in there. Twitter, you're probably not surprised about, only 20-odd%. Twitch, I was a bit more surprised about. If you're into gaming and stuff, only 20% of that age group are using Twitch. WhatsApp, everyone's favourite, only 17%. Jane will be pleased about that. And then the other 2 on the list are Reddit and Tumblr, which are, minor sort of places, if you like. I thought that was sort of quite interesting. And obviously thinking about how you reach those age groups, or as they mature slightly and become consumers, then again, it's where, you're sort of putting your marketing really. So that was that. And then sort of related to that in some ways, and Kim will not like this, obviously, because she's a Snapchat user and she ditched Snapchat Plus, and I think Snapchat in entirety just to get rid of it. But there's been 1 million apparently subscribers to Snapchat Plus since it launched, and they've added some new features and things. And there's a few comparisons to how that launch has gone compared to Twitter Blue, which is more expensive, and they haven't got exact stats, but they think that Snapchat has actually been more successful in launching this subscription than Twitter was. But then sort of related to the other thing about sort of Facebook and that usage, again, a recent study that they sort of quote in here, 63% of daily Snapchatters 16 to 24, so a slightly bigger age group, don't use Facebook every day. Even higher percentage don't use Twitter, but quite surprisingly, 42% of that age group don't use TikTok every day either. So it seems like there's quite a sort of niche market for Snapchat with quite a loyal sort of user base.
But I think it's interesting, especially with what you said about WhatsApp, because if I think of Bella, my 16-year-old daughter, so she uses Snapchat to communicate with her friends 100%. That is her social media platform. But I'd say she's using Snapchat in the same way I use WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So I think it is that remember when Facebook, it was like everything was in one, like you didn't have a separate app for Messenger. It was just all in one place. So I feel like that's part of the thing, especially when you think about storage on on a mobile device as well, and like multiple apps and that kind of thing. It's with all the photos and videos and everything else. It's like I've got. Let me show you. So my front screen's quite clear, right? But I've got so many apps.
Put them in folders.
I have done the important stuff, but the rest of it, I'm like, because I just literally, because you can just pull down and search, so that if I whatever app it is, I just type it in and then it pops up. So I don't need to I just do that rather than go and find it. And then I have got some folders.
It's a bit like a Mac desktop.
Shut up, Mark. This is a widget, so it's like whatever I've got like most notifications for, which is always Facebook and LinkedIn, and WhatsApp, and or whatever I've been in recently. That's automatically appearing in the widget on the top 2 rows, and then under that, it's like the most important things that I need, like at the moment, that I need to be on top of. And then I got my main groups at the bottom. That's it. Everything else is just like whatever. When I think of it and I need it, it's there. Most of it, to be honest, is freaking parking apps. Not that I ever pay for my parking. That's another story. But yeah, when I look at like Bella's phone in comparison, she's like, I think she's got maybe like 2 pages of apps and that's it. How many pages of apps have you got?
2.
Mine are all in folders, so
yeah,
I only have
2
and lots of folders.
Some in folders, not all.
Most of my second page is folders.
Most of your second. So you're like me. You're like App Central.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're watching this, whether you're live or on the replay, just tell me how many pages, screens, whatever of apps have you got? I want to know how much of a weirdo I am. 4 pages I've got. Kim says 1 page. Yeah, you see. So, like I said, I think there is something in that potentially. I'm just saying. Molly's young, cool. She's got 2.
Charles 8.
Wow.
You've got 8 pages of apps. No, for anything in folders.
No.
Nothing in folders. See, it's like, so. I think maybe there's although he is quite a bit younger than me, but so yeah. But you're creative. But Mark's creative. I don't know. I don't know. So Paul Greek has got 4, but one of them is a calendar. So that makes sense to me. But like I said, I think there is a less is more sometimes, and I think like I don't even know what the storage is on this, but it's massive because I knew all the photos and videos and everything else. I know I need a lot of storage, whereas Bella's phone, like she can delete her photos, download them, whatever. She didn't need, I didn't need to be paying extra for her phone with all that additional storage. Basically was my approach. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably not the only parent that was like, yeah, that like, 8 meg will do, yeah.
So it's not that she just wants to use Snapchat. She's only literally got the space to use Snapchat. She'd love to be on Facebook and everywhere else. But...
I'm just suggesting maybe this is part of it.
Yeah.
No, you don't think? Do you think I'm talking rubbish?
I don't know how many my kids have got, but going back to your stats though, my kids probably fit quite well in there because they are on YouTube every day, all day probably. In the school holidays, but yeah, they don't use Facebook at all, but they are on Instagram. They do look at TikTok a bit, but YouTube is 90% of what they do. But then they also do use Reddit a lot, which I didn't even think was something that their age group would care about until recently. And then they also use Discord.
It's really, Reddit has really moved forward in terms of the tech space. Okay, and the gaming stuff as well. I think Reddit has had a real kind of push forward. Whereas it becomes something where like the geeky coders hang out, or like the proper techie tech is. I think it's shifted a bit. What are you going to say, Mark?
No, that's what I was going to say. I was surprised about Twitch wasn't a bit higher, to be honest, in percentage wise. But I suppose it's quite niche. I suppose it's. It's game streaming, but I did have it on my phone just to have a look at, but it's definitely an age thing with that, without a doubt. I think if you're over 30, then that's it.
Did they kick you out?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's like age verification, but upper age verification.
Do your boys use Twitch, Jane?
I'm not sure actually. I'll have to check with them. Yeah, they've not mentioned it, but yeah, don't know.
I do think we're seeing a real shift in terms of these sort of lesser used platforms, but actually being very purposeful. So, if we were creating a new game, if we were marketing a new game, or we were trying to attract gamers, it like 100%, I'd say, right, how can we use Twitch? What can we create content wise? Because it's like the audience is there.
I suppose the thing with streaming as well, though, it can go to multiple platforms. So I suppose that's perhaps why Twitch isn't as high, because a couple of people that I do follow in that sort of space, they stream onto Facebook anyway. So I don't need to go anywhere else. If I want to watch what they're doing, I can just go onto Facebook. So I'd imagine, they're probably live streaming to YouTube and wherever else as well anyway. So that probably explains that to a certain degree.
I also think that we've got this, and it ties in with that, the idea of omnipresence, the fact that everyone is using, on a regular basis, most people are using approximately 3 social media platforms. I think the stat is something like 2.6 or 2.7, but let's just say 3 social media platforms that, let's say, over the course, maybe not daily, but over the course of the week, they're accessing those 3 platforms, and therefore we're that's why things like Twitch, Discord, we're starting to see more from those as well. People, Telegram, which is like a messaging app, we're starting to see people create Telegram communities as well. So there's a bit of additional usage coming through on that that too. There's a report that gets renewed sort of comes out once a year and then gets renewed each quarter. It comes from Hootsuite and We Are Social. And what it looks globally, like looks at a bunch of stuff, but what are the most used platforms? Then it breaks it down by country. So like it's always been like, it was YouTube and then it was Facebook and then, it sort of went down from there. And like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, they're always like, I think like 4th and 6th in the list. This year, it kind of went, well, YouTube wasn't included in the report anymore. And there was always a bit of an argument as to whether YouTube should be in that list or not, because it's more of a search engine than a social platform. But it's now that list is so let's imagine YouTube is still top. Instead of it being YouTube and Facebook, it's now YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. Then we go to Instagram. So I said we're seeing this real shift. And even though we've seen like TikTok really move forward and really increase in terms of sort of daily users in the UK, it's not blasted forward as much as people. I think people think like everyone's using that and no one's using Facebook anymore. And that's not the case. People are using Facebook. They might just be using Facebook, but Instagram's where they go on a daily basis. TikTok's where they're going on a daily basis. So it's quite interesting seeing where the shifts are in these stats.
Yeah.
I've gone off on a tangent again, haven't I?
Fine.
All good. So we've talked a bit around the social media news. We've, Mark, you've sort of said we've been working on some stuff for ourselves. And then a conversation came up about leaflets and flyers and what the difference was. And I know you didn't want me to raise this because there's not like a hard and fast rule around what is and what isn't. But it just triggered quite an interesting, well, I thought it was an interesting conversation in the office. So I was like, but I think there was only like the three of us in the office at the time. People were out making coffee and having lunch. And everyone came back in. I was like, right, guys, what's the difference between a leaflet and a flyer? And there were a lot of words and not a lot of answers in that moment, weren't there?
I think, like we said, it's one of those weird things where they are very similar at the end of the day. But for me, it's always been a leaflet is a bit more of a flimsy, thinner paper type thing, whereas a flyer is perhaps on a bit thicker, sort of bit nicer paper, sort of bit more card feeling. That's always been my sort of internal definition, if that makes sense. And I did Google it when we were talking about it to see if other people agreed on that, and there were different things. There was some printers that was saying pretty much the same thing, but then others were saying there's no difference at all. But I know certainly on our print side of things, that's how we classify it. The difference, leaflets are sort of up to sort of 150 gram or maybe a bit higher, but then your flyers are your sort of 250 gram, sort of 300 gram upwards sort of thing. So it fit. I don't know. I suppose if you think about it in old school stuff, when you used to get like proper nightclub type flyers, perhaps back in the 90s or whatever, they would have been a sort of A6, maybe A5, single-sided. Oh yes, so Paul just said one sheet of paper. Leaflet will have pages. So that was the other thing that we spoke about. A leaflet could be folded, but then in theory you could get a folded flyer as well. But that's a whole sort of. So there's probably no hard and fast definition.
So, but to me, this is really interesting, right? Because, we've got people walking past this window all day long because it's like in fact, there's a guy coming along on his bike right now. Okay, so let's say he's cycling along now. He's thinking, right, I really need to get something sorted, and he stops. He goes to our print shop. Like, how does he know what to order? Or if he's like emailing his designer, saying like, I need 500 leaflets, 500 flyers. Like, this is like, you guys have got your own little language going on, your own little work. We're also like all the people on the outside, we're just supposed to understand, are we?
I think that's the thing. If someone's coming, and actually asking the question, then we'd be having that conversation about thickness of paper and things and what it's going to be used for. that type of thing. So, you know, if you're, to me as well, like if you're doing like a door drop or something, so again, perhaps looking at typical things like estate agents, you know, when you get the little cards through your door, are you looking to sell your house type thing, you know, that they always tend to be on a bit thicker paper, sort of probably A6, would be probably double-sided, and then a leaflet to me is perhaps something, you know, you're at a mass event or something, you're just handing out stuff, that could be sort of a thinner sort of paper. So yeah, it is a tricky one, but essentially they're very similar, if not the same. But some of it comes down perhaps more to the usage, what you're going to use it for, where you're going to use it, what impression you want to give, how much you want to spend. Because obviously, if you want something a bit nicer, it's going to cost a bit more. So you know, it's perhaps more, to be honest, about whether it's fit for purpose and the use, rather than thinking about any actual strict definitions. That's probably the way to look at it.
Yeah. Do you think people go wrong sort of ordering something that they want to use it in this way, but then looking at price going, oh, well, you know, and they're kind of making decisions based on the wrong criteria with this stuff? Possibly,
yeah. I mean, I suppose it really depends on what the purpose is. So just like I say, examples to me, you know, like I think Paul's just said about, you know, just reading what he's saying.
He's written a little mini essay, isn't he?
Yeah. You see, I wouldn't agree that flyers have to be single-sided. Definitely, they definitely can be double-sided, because you want to utilise both sides of every piece of paper you use. You very rarely want to use a single-sided thing these days. That to me is a bit more back in the old days when print was obviously a lot more expensive. You paid a lot more of a premium for single to double-sided. And you know, and especially when full color was also expensive, so obviously, you know, it's much more affordable now. So I think, you know, if you're looking for something like those estate agent, oh there you go. So he was trying to be clever. At least he's admitted it there, though.
Wow.
Yeah, to me, yeah, I'd say more about purpose, but to me, a leaflet can be. Yeah, it can still have detail. It would have detail on it, but a flyer would be, perhaps a bit more succinct, perhaps a bit smaller.
See, I think for me, a leaflet is what if I went into like a shop or a castle or, you know, place you've gone and there's like a bank of leaflets about other stuff you can do. To me, those are leaflets. I choose to pick up a leaflet. But flyers are the crap that's in your magazine that you shake out when you bring it home and you put straight in the bin.
Or that someone's giving you out, yeah.
That's how I see my difference. But
it's funny, isn't it? Like something just so basic. You know, this has never ever come up in conversation before, and then it was like all of a sudden it's like, oh, hold on a minute. Like there's all these different viewpoints as to where the differences were. It was, like I said, it's like sometimes the boring stuff that happens in your world is the most interesting stuff, right? And so like I said, I think it's interesting conversation. Yeah. Do you know what's even fun? Should we tell them our little story about how we see the world in the same way, Mark? It's a bit creepy.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying, to be honest. I'm slightly perturbed.
So I can't even remember how I sent. So we're getting this thing created. Okay, this leaflet stroke flyer. And I'd written the text.
It's a leaflet on thicker paper, that one.
Yeah, it's a leaflet on thicker paper. So I'd written the text and emailed it to Mark. I mean, he only asked me for this like 3 weeks ago, and I literally did it at stupid o'clock. And the next morning, yesterday morning, I said to him, "Oh, have you got that text?" And he'd already started working on it, which I didn't realise. And I said, "Oh, let me draw you what I was thinking." So, oh, well done, Kim. Don't trip over all my crap. Right, this is the general standard of my artwork. So I'm kind of drawing it out, going, oh, well, I'm thinking like we've got the logo at the top, and there's a particular photo of me presenting, and there's people sat in chairs. I mean, they did all ask what these two people were doing, but we won't get into that now. And then like the headline that I put in there and a little QR code, and there's like 3 phases in this thing. So I was like some little boxes or something at the bottom. And Mark just went, "You mean like exactly what I've just put on my screen?" And like literally, like, can you see the similarities.
It was a bit freaky, the fact that I picked that exact photo and
The
everything.
exact photo I was talking about. And we were laughing because there's like, even, you can't really, I can't, because it's all reverse, I can't work it out. Like this guy here that you can kind of see on that, friend of ours in the recruitment world called Cameron. And it's like, Mark was like laughing, saying, yeah, I can see that that's Cameron as well. But like, how are we not thinking? Like, I'm not being funny. We got more than 3 images of me talking to people. Could have been anything that got picked then. Like, how aligned is that? How freaky?
But then I suppose the other way to look at it is you're getting attuned to how things would be laid out.
Yeah.
All right, maybe not. Maybe it's just that.
Well, that one.
I think it's more just, you know how I tick now.
Yeah, maybe.
It's probably, let's face it, it's probably more that way, isn't it? In all
Perfect
fairness.
partnership.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think after like almost 10 years of working together and you getting stuff like that from me and producing stuff like this, you would hope there'd be some alignment creatively. But yeah, how weird that like literally all, like, and I'd be happy to share the email. Don't think I swore in it this time. Didn't call Mark any names or anything like that.
This is delayed live, yeah?
What have I said wrong now?
Nothing.
I'm like really thinking what have I said because
Luckily you didn't say it.
I'm like really panicking about what I've actually said. Like
No,
Kim's
you
like
didn't say
literally leapt out of the I'm like, what have I said?
It's fine, you didn't actually say it.
I mean, it's totally possible that I would. I think she's read what I was gonna say. Yeah, but I didn't swear. No, I didn't call Mark any names. We could share that publicly. Literally, like the text wasn't even laid out. It was literally, it's just what I wrote. I think at one point I'd hit my caps and I couldn't be bothered to like go back and delete it and stop shouting in the message. I'm like,
Got the giggles.
It's like nervous laughter, isn't it? What's going to happen next?
The thing is with this as well, it comes back to branding too, right? So we have a brand we're really connected to, something that's quite strong. We're producing something that is yes, the Green Umbrella logo is in there, but it's actually something quite different for us. It's a new brand within itself, but it still sits under the Green Umbrella marketing banner. And so all of like, I think when you've got a brand that really works and you really understand and it's really defined, when you're working with a designer that has that longevity with the brand, that connection with the brand as well, creating new stuff like this is actually really easy. I think sometimes we come across clients and they've like worked with one designer here for this bit and they go and work with another designer there for that bit and another one for another bit. And then everything gets a bit diluted and all over the place and the cohesiveness isn't there. And it's like the use cases are not quite understood. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I'm like, I could totally pitch like just use us and only ever use us forevermore. And then you'll have similar experiences with Mark, I guess is what I'm saying. But I think a lot of it is to do with the relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, obviously we know, because it is our brand, we know it obviously inside out and out, what we want to do with it, how things work together with colours and things like that. And even though we've introduced maybe two new colours into this sort of palette, the original colours are our normal GU colours. But again, it's just, we know how they're going to fit together and work. And yeah, I suppose that's the thing. And if you've got that consistency with whoever you're working with, but it is about that consistency, making sure that everything is aligned. Just one font here and there that's not quite right makes a massive difference. Or just a slightly different use of the logo in a different way or something. Like we've said before, obviously brands can adapt and grow and change, but those fundamentals still need to be in there and get the basics right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Okay. On that note, Jane, unless you've got anything else to add, anything you want to bring up or chit chat around?
Not really. I mean, I had a few more news things, but we can save them for another time.
Oh, anything juicy?
Not really. Just little tweaks.
Right,
So
we'll save,
not very exciting.
We'll save them for next time then. We'll save them for next time. I'm going to wrap it up there. Yeah, sorry if we've waffled a bit. It's been one of those days, I'm afraid. Thank you for joining us and sticking with it. Hopefully there's some useful stuff in there as well from a branding and print perspective, as well as the usual social media bits. But yeah, we'll see you next week, Thursday at 12 for the Green Umbrella Live Lunch. Thank you for joining us. I will catch you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye.